Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline Live on Tuesday night. Thanks for watching us. We appreciate it. A lot of great feedback in our hometown of Bethel Park with Comcast and Verizon 32. That's Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Verizon 32, as most of you have listened, if you're a new listener and watcher, Verizon 32 everywhere from Nemacolin all the way to Cranberry, Wexford, city of Pittsburgh, and throughout the area. So I appreciate all of you watching. Thanks to Bethel Park for letting us do our shows every week. We appreciate that. And we hit a brand new high on likes, 5,248 likes. So Jim Audet, that's our new record. Thanks for liking us. We'll like you, and after you like us. That's our little rule, and within reason. So we start our opening of our show. Excellent news, Chip. Appreciate that. We start our show with What's on Your Mind. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Chip the Prophet Hayner. Smoking Jim Frazier. We were all early on this nice, sunny, spring, cool day. That's one of the few times nobody was under pressure to get in the studio. And we're enjoying that Olive Oil's Pizzeria. I got to post that up. Jeff, I don't know if you can pull up on that. 412-831-1900. And the owner was there. He made our pizzas with Zach and the guy Zach at the pizza place. And Frank had his young son, Frankie, who's 11 years old. And Chip, I'm going to share this with you on his favorite sport is?
Baseball.
Yes, that was the setup. And Frankie, here's a shout out to you. And they have a hoagie that has everything on it that they can possibly put on, and meats and everything else. It's called the Flying Pig. And it's a great deal. If you buy it, you can usually feed a family of 4 with it. So Frank, the owner, challenged me. He said, would you like to try a Flying Pig? I did. Now I'm a legend there. I ate the whole thing. And I'm still alive to talk about it. But we had great pizza. We still got a slice of hoagie left. Give them a call. They're our sponsor of our show. We'll get into some of the other ones later and different things we have going on. But we're going to start with What's on Your Mind? Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
Coming up.
you got to see Levine, my old high school option quarterback days. There you go.
Can we have some verification on that?
How about some film?
There you go. What's on my mind is actually I got a big announcement to make. On May 24th, Tuesday at 3 o'clock, it'll be the same show. One show, 2 stations. Smoking Jim Frazier, Al Levine, the Talking Machine goes live at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, May 24th.
I got to interrupt you. It's a Talking Machine 5-minute interview.
5-minute interview.
Talking Machine 5-minute Talking Machine interview.
And
5 words, buddy. Did you put that in?
That was right there in my notes to say right after that, before the interruption.
Because we didn't talk. See, when you don't communicate, I definitely communicate.
But part of the interruption, that was a surprise for everybody. Al almost spoiled it because he was asking me before the show, but I act like I didn't hear him.
Well, I knew that you did, but it wasn't the date we talked about. But
that's what's on my mind. Look for it. It's coming soon. I'm excited about that.
You got to tell the people, since you invite so many sweeties, they're all welcome there to talk about 5 minutes of whatever they want. It's not just sports.
It's
Where's
not
the
just
show?
work.
It's PCTV. Chip, if you're
Gotta get
in between
Chip to call
cutting
in.
grass and you want to stop in to talk 5 minutes,
He can even call it.
you can call in too. We'll have the number out there for you. But it'll be 5 minutes. I'm getting a timer. Then it'll go off, and we go next. They have to leave. And Smoking Jim's lining up sweeties for Jimmy right now. I don't know if I'll even be able to invite more than 2 people. And you know it's an hour is actually up to 12 people, but we're going to try for 10, Smoking Jim.
Yeah, I put 8 to 10.
My man, you listen to me.
Yeah, let's not forget about the fact it's Al Levine, the Talking Machine.
No, that's...
It's not the listening machine.
Well, I've been practicing my listening skills. So, and it's tough with a timer, I'll tell you that much. But we'll have some fun, I guarantee that. It's the first ever show in the city of Pittsburgh like this, so it'll be interesting. All right, we got that out of the way. Chip Painter, what's on your mind? Well, I was thinking name.
He's getting a little tongue-tied.
Yes.
He's getting a little bit tongue-tied. Well, I'm not going to be a little tongue-tied today. And what's on my mind is, I may have antiquated ideas about sports to some degree and athletes and the way that an athlete handles success or failure, however that may be.
Sure.
That being said, and I'm sure there will be people, and I'm sure there's one to my left that will disagree with my opinion on this one, but this past weekend, the Masters golf tournament was played, okay, and probably one of the top players in the world, a young man named Jordan Spieth, won last year's Masters, and he won the U.S. Open last year, came in second place in the British Open. He's an up-and-coming star. He's probably one of the most dominant golfers in the world today. Yeah. Well, he took the lead after the first round, had the lead after the second round, didn't play so well in the third round, maintained his lead, and played the front nine at Augusta, and he was on fire. He birdied holes 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then he went into a section of the golf course that they call Amen Corner. And it is probably the hardest part of the golf course. And he went bogey, bogey, quadruple bogey, subsequently losing his lead and losing the tournament. And when he played the 12th hole, he put 2 balls in the water. And it was probably one of the most disappointing, or should I say humiliating moments that I have seen in sports. Mm-hmm. It was done on a worldwide stage, okay? Now, this all being said, the young athlete came out, finished the tournament, and did the interviews after the tournament and discussed how heartbroken he was. He actually broke down in tears. But he was man enough to face the public and take his medicine and not stamp off the TV set and pout like a certain somebody that we watched do at the Super Bowl. You got an athlete at the Super Bowl that was a complete prima donna, and that's the same person that lost sight of the fact that had it not been for his other 52 teammates, he would have never even made it to that stage. But here, in golf, it's an individual sport. It's not a team sport as football is. But I think the lessons to be learned from Jordan Spieth and his loss on Sunday is, when you win in any sporting venue, you win graciously. And when you lose with dignity, and you don't pout, and you don't act like a little baby. Lessons to be learned and to mimic. But that's what's on my mind this week.
Thanks, Chip. I couldn't agree with you more. And as I was watching some of it, I thought of a movie named Tin Cup. And that's what I thought of when Kevin Costner blew up. Mm-hmm. And that's what it looked like. Because he could have actually done like one little thing to tweak and maybe not lose 2 more shots. And that's what's amazing. When you lose it, you lose it.
Yeah,
right?
And how he didn't throw his clubs, he didn't curse, he didn't pull the Tiger Woods card and use profane language and slam his clubs against the ground.
And he's at the great old age of 22.
22 years old. There's a lot to be learned from that young man.
Definitely. Smoking Jim.
A lot of people can learn how to choke from him now.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what he did? He tied for second, though. Isn't that amazing?
Being that he was the defending champ, how could you say he choked because he was the defending champ?
Isn't
that your argument?
He was five. He had a 5-stroke lead in the back 9, and now he just totally came apart.
He imploded.
Oh, there's no doubt. He even said as much.
You say it's an individual sport, for most people, but for him, I think his caddy does more to golfing than he does.
Okay, you give the caddy credit.
We're going to end this segment.
He talks forever to his caddy. Come on and hit the ball. It's long enough.
Does the caddy swing the club and hit the ball?
His caddy is his coach.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, have you ever watched Spieth? Not the one that plays for the Steelers, the one that played the golf.
Yes.
This guy takes 10 minutes to talk to his caddy about hitting a 1-inch putt.
Well, you know the game's mostly a mental game. I mean, you played sports. It's mostly mental.
But he takes longer than anybody.
But he needs it.
But he wins more
Yeah,
money
yeah,
than
he
anybody.
did need it. He
It's
showed
a
it.
mental
He
game.
showed that it really helps.
Well, I have a question for you, Smoking Jim. Since
See,
when somebody loses,
once again, my point was lost on him.
no. Here's
It-
what
it-
I'm going to clarify it. Smoking Jim says you're only as good as the last thing you've done, and he practices that, except with himself and people that he knows. So just because he lost, you gave up on him, and
You want a black man to talk about golf?
no, because it doesn't make sense. Sorry, folks. Smoking Jim's the best, and whatever he does on this, he's not number one. And I'll move on a little bit. I always put out about Joey Strong, the Joey Fabus Cancer Foundation, and you should at least donate, maybe $1. If you think about it and you hear me talking about it each time, they're trying to find a cure for DIPG. That's what killed Joey before his 9th birthday. He had less than a year to live. His parents were hopeless. His physical body changed as it broke down. Check out the Joey Fabus Cancer Foundation, and you'll hear us say, "Stay Joey Strong" at the end. So we'll think about Joey, even though we're going to have some fun and some disappointment with sports, but we're going to keep going. Now, we got the 2nd annual Designer Bag Bingo. And I keep telling you each week, this is May 6th. Only $25. You get 10 game bingo packets, 1 door prize ticket. They're going to have great door prizes. And you can get additional cards if you want to try to win. There's all these raffles. There's Sid West has great food and catering. She'll have sandwiches with soup or salad. Check that out. Bring your own bottle, so whatever you like to drink there. And they were having a great time drinking last year, I'll tell you that much. And the raffle tickets, I don't know, I sold a bunch of them, so we're going to try to do it again. You can win some big money, well over $1,200, I think it was. Get tickets at EV True Value Hardware, Bethel Park Library. Stop in to see Dave Cable. So thanks for listening to that. Then I want to put something out about, I'm on this committee with the Bethel Park Community Foundation. All of you in Bethel Park, if you have an organization, a group who needs money, you can get from $100 to $5,000. Smoking Jim is thinking of moving here temporarily and starting a group. So we'll see what comes of that. You get grant requests, that's what they are, from $100 to $5,000. Check it out, and that's the Bethel Park Community Foundation. They're doing great things here. Now what's on my mind is Penguins. I had said at the beginning of the year that they would win the Stanley Cup. They promptly stressed me out throughout the season. We had power outages, power shortages, no goals being scored. Fleury was playing out of his mind like he's done the last 2 years, and they managed to win. Malkin kept him in this. Then we got a new coach. Hats off to Sullivan and what he's done. And now we got a problem that I'm a little nervous about. I've heard some experts say, don't worry about this. But our goaltender almost lost his head in the last game against Philadelphia. How there was not a penalty when you're in the crease and you get your head torn off and the mask flies is unknown to me. And Fleury is still doing the protocol, as they say, but I've heard he's been practicing. Murray has not, from what some of my inside sources are saying. He has not even touched the ice. So I'm hopeful. I know we have the speed. I know we have the scoring ability now. If the referees swallow the whistle like they do in the playoffs, we could be in trouble. But I believe that the Stanley Cup will be in Pittsburgh again. And watch that big screen on Wednesday night. Go out to the game.
It won't be there.
I thought it is.
No.
What happened?
No.
Did I miss something?
The NHL and NBC have made enough of a fuss. There is the possibility that if they move past the first round, there may be something set up somewhere, but they will not set that up.
Mario's TV
fans.
can't be there. I missed it. I was too busy today.
Because the NHL is very adamant about not promoting their league and encouraging people to watch the game. So they're going to do things to make the fans not give them television ratings. But you figure it out.
I agree with the NHL on this one.
It's odd that in NHL you agree, but if NFL said that You don't get to watch the Steeler games because they're sold out all the time.
I have a sneaking suspicion that somebody agrees with the NHL because that's the unpopular position to take.
Is that his style? I finally heard it out loud.
Hey, we want the
What?
NHL wants ratings in the household. They don't want 5,000 people outside watching one big screen TV. They're losing 4,999, people that could be watching it at home. I agree with the NHL.
Yeah,
With
but
the way you are in business, Smoking
Plus,
Jim,
there
I
could
can't
be a
even.
mob. There could be a mob after a loss. Now these people that they didn't pay. Listen, if somebody does something and they're a season ticket holder, you can pull their season tickets away. These folks out here start turning over cars and whatnot. What can you take away now?
It's not their
You could
neighborhood.
just
They're
take
not
away
going
their,
to
you
smoke
could
a
just
Jim.
take you could just take away
It
that
is
big
not
string.
their neighborhood. They're not going to turn over their own cars,
NHL took
which
away
is
the big
popular.
And wait a minute. And what do you think this is? WVU? This has happened how many times? This is not like they burn couches on porches and stuff like that. This has never happened. So I guess,
I'm disappointed, but I'm not burning my car. And the people that come in there do not live there, so they're not going to burn anything.
They'll turn over cars. They do that all
Oh,
the time.
they
in
do.
certain places.
all the way, yes, they do. In the lower hill, it happens like on a nightly basis.
But we're not even talking that's near the TV.
Jim.
Smoking. You know what? We're going to have to go to our.
Jim doesn't let the facts get in the way of any type of opinion.
Smoking Jim, I don't even have to agree to disagree. I completely disagree, and we're going to move to our next segments. Two of my favorites are coming up right now. The first one is, are you ready? Fiction and Fact with Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. Somebody asked me the other day ago, and I couldn't answer them. And I says, let me ask Al Levine, the talking machine, how long have we known each other?
A little over 4.5 years.
4.5 years? How about me and you, Jim?
Well, it's been 4 years. We've been here, what,
4
October?
2011.
Yeah,
You were about a month later.
Yeah, so about 4.5, yeah.
So, my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac goes with a shout out to Mike Migliori for bringing us all together. Most people think that we've known each other, all my life, 30 years, and
We still didn't get that age.
and so, but
If it wasn't for Mike Migliori, I would have never been invited to sit in this chair.
That's it. So we got to give a shout out, and like I said, it all started here in BPTV Studios, and then we went to Level 20, then we went to Sips, and we went to a lot of other great places, Duke's.
Yeah.
And
Smokehouse Grill.
Smokehouse Grill and
Atria's,
Actria's,
Hollywood Lanes.
Hollywood Lanes, and I tell you what, the thing,
River City Inn.
the River City Inns, and
Village Tavern and Trattoria in West
Village-
End.
There it is. Too many to even name. Met a lot of great people, and I tell you what, there's none. I tell you what. The things that we've been doing in boxing, Golden Glove boxing and professional boxing, I tell you what, you won't meet more nicer people than boxers. They say hockey players are some of the nicest people that you will ever meet. We haven't met any of them yet, but boxers have been great. But I tell you what, this past weekend, Al Levine, the talking machine, and I went to a professional boxing weigh-in. A young group out of Las Vegas, Nevada, I believe.
Hey, Smoking Jim, I have something for you because I knew you might bring something up.
All right.
You can hold that up, brother.
Thanks, man. And I don't know if you can get it in my hands. It's kind of big here. But
Try your
but
best.
yeah, but we met and who's the
Matt McGovern.
Matt McGovern,
He's the owner.
Outstanding young guy. He is pumping in a lot of money in this area by consistently putting on fights. Now, this is a guy who can, yeah, I got my own media pass. Yay! I love that. Thanks, brother. But I got the official media pass, man. I tell you what, I can wear this around my neck like a big clock.
And it has WFC. That's the name of the
WFC,
company.
WFC.
World Fighting Championships.
And what's impressive impressive to me, Al Levine, the talking machine, is this is a young man that can go anywhere and all over the country, but he wants to come to Pittsburgh 3 to 5 times a year, and we really appreciate that. And he just loves Pittsburgh Sportsline and Al Levine, the talking machine, and BPTV. And so it was great. But the one thing I got to give a quick shout out, and I know Al will do more on it, is I want to thank the local media for giving our radio show a shout out on the news because we don't believe in any form of bullying. And I got to give a shout out to the Pittsburgh Pirates and Sterling Marte, who is going to personally take in one of his limos, the young Isaiah, to a Pirate game. So I got to take my hats off to the Pirates. I think that Sterling and that outfield is a little arrogant. They do a little bit too much dabbing for me. I think the outfield is a bunch of just like the quarterback from Carolina at times. But I believe the Pittsburgh Pirates will win the World Series, although I am a Detroit Tiger fan. But
why'd they win today?
That's fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Smoking Jim, that was...
Yeah, go Buccos!
You know what? There was a lot of good facts there, but the end part shows that Babe Ruth is watching over the Pirates. Not.
Yeah, I'm shocked that he didn't criticize somehow find some reason to criticize the Pirates for deciding to do the right thing.
Not yet.
He will. He will. When the limo gets a flat.
Just so our fans out there and the new fans out there, Smoking Jim does not know hockey. Smoking Jim does not know baseball. Those are the two things that he's only learned on Pittsburgh Sportsline. And Chip just hit the secret sauce that he likes to do the opposite. So for all of you that enjoy our show, we enjoy Smoking Jim too, because he adds another sense of disbelief to almost everything we believe in. So I appreciate it. Thanks for the shout out to the great people out at the Meadows too. Was at the Meadows Racetrack and Casino. They have a nice tent. Smoking Jim, this is a huge tent. So, and it was heated actually.
When are we going to go again?
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. But we got something coming up now with Chip.
Okay.
If we could get to his...
Yeah, they needed the heat on Saturday night. It was like 19 degrees out.
Yeah, well, this is an outside tent. It's a very big professional tent. It's
Yes.
like a permanent one.
Yeah.
And the heat was on inside the ring and outside.
It needed to be. It needed to be.
Definitely. We got to go right to this segment. One of my favorites, Chip's Trivia Time.
Well, I was entertaining the idea of dedicating my trivia segment this evening to NHL playoff hockey trivia. Unfortunately, the NHL trivia that I got is weak at best, and I will promise you that next Tuesday night we will go in depth into some NHL hockey trivia. I'll do some research, and I will come up with just the facts, Jim. Okay? Just the facts.
Chip, just so you know, that's why this is a great counterbalance to what some of the facts are.
Well, now to get to some, I found some absolutely interesting baseball trivia. And if anybody knows about my passion for the game of baseball, the start of the season starts, the reoccurrence of some memorable days in baseball over years past. You know, one of the happiest moments for the Bums in Brooklyn was on April the 9th, 1913. That was when Ebbets Field opened.
Nice.
For the Brooklyn Dodgers. You know, and it was in 1959 that the Brooklyn Dodgers left Ebbets Field. And the sad thing about that was the last game played by the Brooklyn Dodgers in New York City only had 6,200 people at the game because, well, that was played out in the papers and the fans became very disillusioned. So Ebbets Field opened up. 1947, there was some very flamboyant characters in the game of baseball. Some of them were at one time players, but became managers. But one of the most flamboyant managers of all time was Leo the Lip DeRocha.
Yeah.
Okay? So here's what happened to Leo on April 9th, 1947. Dodgers manager Leo DeRocha was suspended for 1 year by Commissioner Happy Chandler for the accumulation of unpleasant incidents detrimental to baseball. Now, that was a commissioner that really had some big ones because, you know, to take the manager of one of the most popular teams in the league at that time and suspend him for a year, how do you think that would go over nowadays?
Not at all.
Probably not. Would be in federal court. April the 9th, 1985, Chicago's Tom Seaver. Tom Seaver, up until last year, had the highest vote total ever to get into the Hall of Fame. Made his 15th opening day start to break Christy Matheson's record. Seaver pitched 6 2/3 inning, was credited with the victory as the White Sox beat the Milwaukee Brewers. Probably few people remember that Tom Seaver finished his career pitching for the Chicago White Sox. Pitched most of his career for the Cincinnati Reds. He started as a young fireballer with Nolan Ryan pitching for the amazing Mets of the late 60s. The opening day attendance record was set on April 7th, 1973, by none other than the Cleveland Indians in the Mistake by the Lake. Municipal Stadium in Cleveland was capable of holding that many fans. They sold out that day. Gaylord Perry pitched the Tribe to a 2-1 win against Jim's Detroit Tigers. See that? You just stepped right into it for me, you know?
Who knew that?
And so, you know, here's another interesting fact.
Fans was there? Did they say?
74,420.
Wow, for a baseball.
For baseball in April. Okay, and it's awfully warm in Cleveland in April if you've ever been up there. Okay, so you know I was looking back at some other dates. April the 12th, playing their first game in Kansas City after moving from Philadelphia, the Athletics beat the Detroit Tigers. Now, again, you're Tigers, but you know why did I even bring that up? Because I look back on the date of April the 8th, 1934, was the first time the Philadelphia Athletics played the Philadelphia Phillies.
Wow!
Did you know that Philadelphia had 2 professional baseball teams at one time? Like I said, I dug up some interesting information. April the 8th, 1975. Frank Robinson became the first African-American manager in Major League history by making his debut as the player-manager of the Cleveland Indians. As a designated hitter, he hit a home run in his first at-bat as player-manager and helped the Indians beat the New York Yankees. 1987, here's 2 Hall of Fame pitchers involved in the same game. Phil Niekro and Steve Carlton of the Cleveland Indians teamed up to beat the Toronto Blue Jays 14-3. Phil Niekro recorded his 312th victory, and Carlton pitched 4 shutout innings in relief. It was the first time in modern history that 2 300-game winners pitched for the same team in the same game. Wow. First time in Major League history.
That's some nice trivia.
Yes, it is. And a few more. On April the 12th, 1966, another baseball team that moved, well, it moved from Boston to Milwaukee, from Milwaukee to Atlanta. This would be the Braves. The team of Hammer and Hank Aaron played their very first game in 1966 in Atlanta. And they happened to lose 3-2 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. 1966 was also Clemente's MVP season. The first Latin American player to win the Most Valuable Player Award.
He's black.
1972, April the 12th, the first players' strike in baseball came to an end. The players and the owners agreed on pension increases and salary arbitrations. And then a couple of more here, and then we'll wrap it up. The Cleveland Indians have been involved in a lot of these interesting moments, and this is one example of complete futility. In 1992, the Cleveland Indians set a record for the fewest hits in a doubleheader. Okay, getting no hit by Boston's Matt Young in the first game and managing just 2 against Roger Clemens in the nightcap. So they played 18 innings of baseball. They had 2 hits.
That's futility.
You know, winding it down here, Rube Marquardt on April 11th, 1912, of the New York Giants. Unless you're really a baseball historian, I know Alan has heard of Rube.
Yeah.
I have posted photos of him, which I'm constantly posting.
Yeah.
Pictures on my Facebook page of baseball history. You're welcome to follow anytime you'd like. But Rube Marquardt started a streak, a 19-game winning streak with an 18-3 triumph over the Brooklyn Dodgers. So he started off the season with 19 wins, his first 19 games. It's a pretty impressive streak. Then 1962, the New York Mets played their first game and lost to the Cardinals in St. Louis. Stan Musial of the Cardinals had 3 hits. He tied Mel Ott's National League career record with his 1,859th run scored. The Mets, who lost their first 9 games, on their way to a 40-120 record. That is the gold standard. As bad as the Pirates got, they were never that bad.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, Chip. Appreciate it. Smoking Jim stole some of the thunder I was going to bring out, but I did want to thank Matt McGovern, owner of WFC. He also does boxing throughout the country. Some of his boxing matches have up to 18 fights on a card. This one was the first one. There were five boxing matches, and I'll just talk basically about the last one. Tommy Carpensi, who's been on our show, his dad's his coach. You know, he's a great young man. He won another belt, and he did it in great fashion. He knocked down the guy about 4 times, and he won by a knockout in 139 of the first round. So, and that's the way the fight ended. People go, I just got in to watch the main event. I go, it's over. But it was a great crowd, very interesting. Talked to Sean Sullivan, who's the vice president and general manager. He said, Al, what'd you think about it? I said, well, no rain this time. He goes, yeah, but we had to get extra heaters to do this, and the tent is very nice. Nice sized tent. They had lights up there so, you know, they could film and take photos. Just a great venue out there that they're going to do more things, you know, at the Meadows. They'll be back June 18th. And the Meadows also has King of the Cage MMA coming up, too, in May. So there's a lot of outdoor activities that are inside a tent. And it will be air conditioned when they need it. They have that set up. So it's a good thing. On location, we're at Atria's PNC Park. We did it without a cameraman or camera woman. I got to thank Smokin' Jim for monitoring the cameras. I contacted Dave, the director of BPTV, told him about some of our difficulties, and I said, just let me know if we got an hour show. He told me with 2 commercials, the video turned out, we have an hour show. So we had great guests that just fantastic. We had about 10 guests, learned a lot about them. One of my favorites is a new friend of ours who has a business called O2 Inc. You've heard of hyperbolic chambers like they have in sports where it puts oxygen in your body. He actually explained how the water is oxygenated and you go in like a tub almost and your body heals up. He said they kept records on a guy who had an inflammation. His ankle was sprained, a traveling basketball player. They measured it, the ankle, how swollen it was. He was in for 40 minutes and the inflammation was down 25%. So, and that's one treatment. He'll get a couple more before he travels again. Just fantastic. We had boxers. Dan Conley, who I've been asking Smokin' Jim for a long time to get on our show. Somehow we got him on our show. I think Smokin' Jim gets some credit for that. So
Yeah,
thank you.
night.
Yes. And it was an honor to meet him. We had him interviewed. Chet Garris or Grassi. Yeah, Grassi. Yeah.
I know them.
Yeah,
I know
so
them.
Chip had mentioned that to me on the phone. They're good guys, and they learned under Jimmy Savetic, who's a legend, who I can't let on our show because of his language anymore. So they even agreed with that type of stuff, and they had to watch, because swearing seems to be popular in boxing and explaining things. And they're actually coaching and training Amante Eberhardt, who Jimmy passed the torch so they can do it. And Victor Olive, he's actually backing Amante and all he does. Look for some big fights here in Pittsburgh. They're going to grow this. They do a lot of great things in the community, and it'll be fantastic. Vince Ornato, Chip may remember that he did sketches in Sips Sports
Yes, I
Bar.
do.
Well, he asked me if he could come out and do some caricatures. I said, sure, you'll be the last guest of the show because you can tell us and show us what we did. Well, he did a nice one of Smoking Jim. At first it was because we saw one photo. Then he put me in there holding my ears on the opening. So that's a new classic. I told my brother from another mother that I actually knew you from, it was about September of like a month or so before we started our show. So it's a little longer than I thought.
Oh,
Of
yeah,
2011.
that's right.
Because we met at Mike's house.
That's right. That's right.
Which was a strange experience to begin with. But it all led to this. So thanks for that shout out there, both of you. And we do owe him that he connected us, and he's no longer with us on the show. And so we just had a great time last night. We'll be back there on the 25th. We even had a lady who wanted to be on my show. She actually was at the Night at the Races, Smoking Jim, with the Hugathon, Becky Auer. She's in charge of No BS marketing, and she was actually a guest on our show. She likes sports, and she just helps a lot of businesses out there. And she said maybe we can collaborate on a fundraiser. So stay tuned for a cystic fibrosis fundraiser that Pittsburgh Sportsline and Becky Auer are going to put out there. So we're going to have some fun doing that and helping a great cause out there because it's a death sentence to you with cystic fibrosis. So stay tuned. That should be up sometime tomorrow. I'm not sure what else I have here, but there will be other events out at the Meadows. Check that out. And that's our on location. Oh, with the on location, Smoking Jim was actually doing boxing. I don't know if you're going to even talk about that, or did I jump ahead of you?
No, you right on time.
Okay. Because you didn't give a report on that. I appreciate you talking about the new show. But he was filming Golden Glove fights out at Three Lakes golf course there. So I know it was a good time. I heard a lot of great things from people that went. So Smoking Jim, what's your report on that?
Well, I tell you what, one of the fastest rising stars in Pittsburgh was there, Sindel Taylor, who does a lot of things with Pittsburgh Sportsline. She's the current Miss Allegheny County in America.
Mrs.
And soon to be Miss Pennsylvania.
Mrs.
And Miss America.
Smoking Jim, you got to put the R in there. She'll tell you about it. Come on. Sindel's Mrs. Allegheny County.
But
and a great person. How's the boxing?
It was a great boxing show out at Three Lakes Golf Course. It was packed. And I tell you what, you know, these young stars are really rising. Talked to Jimmy Savetic. And although this kid wasn't on the card, his name is Silvio Cercone. He's a young kid that's only like 14 years old, but he's an up-and-coming star in the city of Pittsburgh. But I was able to interview one of the fighters, and he told me I was calling him Roberto Duran, the Hands of Stone, during the fight. But he corrected me in the interview, said he would rather be called, he thinks of himself as a white Mike Tyson, and his name is the Lumberjack, Greg Rudolph. I wanted to throw in the towel before the bell even rang. Because you could see it in his eyes that he was going to try to kill the kid. He fought a...
You know that he told me when he was on our show, off the air, that he played a defensive game in the first fight that he come back to show people he has skills. So I was glad that you texted me and got that information to me, that he won by a knockout.
Yeah, first round knockout. He put the guy down about 4 times, and finally they threw in the towel. And I appreciate the opponent's corner for doing that. But that's about...
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Smoking Jim. We need to get that. Because then we got Bucko talk. We got to get into the Buccos a little bit. We've seen some great offense, then we've seen some lack of offense. And you have good pitching. I was impressed with how they treated Verlander, who's one of the top pitchers in the league. You know, 5 runs, 10 hits, or I think it was it 7 runs? actually when he
you
left?
know, what
'Cause he was
the
a
Pirates
college
are
for them?
doing differently this year, and you know, we're 8 games into the season, and the Pirates are sitting at 5-3. Which is a far better start than they had last year. Last year they started out the season 0-3, losing 3 games to the Cincinnati Reds, and you know they had their opportunities in Cincinnati this past weekend, and they lost 2 of 3. One of the things that the Pirates are doing differently this year is they are getting far more men on base. Right now, the Pirates are leading the league in their on base percentage, and you know, the whole key to playing winning baseball is you got to get guys on base to score runs. You know, and in the games when they're getting timely hitting, such as yesterday in the series against the Cardinals, you know, scoring runs in bunches is relatively easy to do. Now, you know, Nicasio, who had a great first game and a great spring training, pitched against the Tigers today, and he didn't have his good stuff. And subsequently, the Detroit Tigers roughed him up pretty good. But here's something that you do need to understand. You know, the Pirates are playing Major League Baseball teams. And, you know, every one of these teams has players on them that are Major League caliber players. And if you don't throw your pitches in the correct spots, you're going to get roughed up. And that's what was happening today. And they're going to study the film. They'll come back tomorrow. They're going to be strong against them. Now, Francisco Liriano, who was slated to be the starter tomorrow night, is going to be held back from his start tomorrow night. He's got some tightness in his hamstring. Ryan Vogelsong is going to start in his place. Ryan Vogelsong is a Major League caliber starting pitcher, has pitched in the major leagues for quite a number of years. And, you know, the Pirates play much better baseball at home than they do on the road. And, you know, I think that the team will come through. And, you know, the bullpen has been aces as it has been the last few years.
You said there's a difference between last year and this year. They started off 0-3 against Cincinnati last year, and they were a grand slam away from being 0-3 against Cincinnati this year.
Well,
Smoking Jim, you're starting to watch baseball, which is nice. Then you'll like this next piece of information I'm going to give you about their hitting. They've got a strategy now where they try to foul off the fastballs. You got players that are up at the plate, Smoking Jim, instead of taking 3 or 4 pitches and striking out or hitting the first ball and flying out, they're actually frustrating pitchers by having 10 foul balls and bats. So in other words, it's like having 2 hitters for 1 hitter. And they're getting a lot of runners on because they're getting walks and they're on base. The only problem I see is they're stranding a lot of the runners at this point in time. So that'll come as the hitters get better. Marte just hit his 2nd home run of the year.
That's good.
I'm glad you finally saw something positive here. So
right,
that's a good sign.
Pitchers were frustrated today,
I
huh?
didn't see anything positive on
Well,
the
Smoking Jim,
opening
as you
series
cherry
against
pick.
the defending Central Division champions, while we swept them in the first 3 games. That was lost on him. But, you know,
Well, he's a cherry picker. Smoking Jim would be the guy that doesn't run down on the basketball court and stands underneath the hoop and goes, and they throw him the
you know
ball.
what?
How'd I guess?
It boils down to this. Jim is a pessimist. He's not an optimist at all, never will be, okay? He will find the dark lining in every silver cloud that there is.
The Pirates are going to win the World Series with average pitching, and that's what they've been showing. They got average pitchers already. They're aces. 1 week into the season, he's already got a hamstring strain.
Okay.
And Garrett Cole's back. You didn't even mention that.
Yeah, he's
That's
is he
you're
back?
a big fan. See,
Is
you didn't
back?
know.
Is
He
back?
does not
I know
watch
he got beat.
baseball.
I know he got beat. I'm not sure when you say back. I mean,
playing.
is this the best we're
Playing.
going to see? Oh, back playing. Okay.
Because you had talked about why isn't he playing?
As I said, we're 8 games into the season. There's 154 more to play. It's going to be an interesting season. The Pirates are playing a brand of baseball that if they continue to perform the way they have been, they will win far more games than they will lose. The statistics will definitely prove it out. And, you know, it's going to be an exciting season. Yes, it's going to have its peaks and valleys, but that's the way every baseball season is.
How's Mr. April doing, McCutcheon?
He shouldn't start in April. That's all.
I agree.
But here's the other problem that he has. They like to walk him to extremes. He's had runners on base, and they've walked him like 8 times so far this year, which is huge. Can you imagine how frustrated you would be?
That's why we put him at the cleanup position.
No, he's actually in second, and he's
That's what
actually
that's
getting
what
more
I would put him.
opportunities.
But of course, knowing as little as you know about baseball, that would be about the most foolish thing you could do.
Pirates did that
him.
with Barry Bonds, and that worked out well.
Yeah, it did for the San Francisco Giants. It wasn't until after he left Pittsburgh and started juicing that he became a cleanup hitter.
He doesn't understand. Why would you?
And when he played for the Pirates, he batted third. The statistics prove out. Baseball is a game that is driven by statistics, and there's a lot of analysis that goes into the game and a various positioning of players. And one of the things that the Pirates outfielders have learned to start doing this year, and if you've noticed, their outfielders are playing in. They're not playing as deep as they have been. And the numbers have proved them out that McCutchen is much better at going back on a ball than he is coming in on a ball.
Oh, my.
And balls that would normally hit in the ground in front of him are catching them. Well, Jim doesn't have any
Sterling should be the center fielder. He's the better outfielder. But look at that, brother. You see all that, man.
What's that mean?
That's Bucko. That's Bucko power.
When?
May 16th.
May 16th? Was that, a Saturday?
I don't know. You can read it.
I can read them.
Who are you giving those to? Those godchildren.
I'm going to keep one for myself. I got 4 innings to go.
These are up by my section.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Great seats, I got to tell you. Great seats.
Hey, Chip, I'll just tell you, if he is truly going to be at the game at the start, you better see him early, because I don't think he can stay past 4 innings.
Let me tell
That's
you
my
something.
goal.
Let me tell you something, Alan. I've seen Jim's act at the ballpark. It's called a disappearing act. Okay? But
He took me down on that one because he didn't know how to get back to his car.
I'd
I'd have been there to the end.
Hey, I'm going to the ball game tomorrow night. I'll be there Saturday night, and I can tell you this: there's nowhere better in the city for me to be than at the ballpark on a night when the Penguins are playing the Rangers on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the Penguins and the Rangers, yes,
About time. Let's do
the
it.
Penguins and the Rangers. Okay, the Rangers who have eliminated the Penguins the last 2 years in a row. What is his name? The goaltender.
Lindquist.
Yes. Lundqvist. Lundqvist has shut down the Penguins the last couple of years. And here's my question that I feel is hanging over this entire playoff series. If you think about the way the Penguins have played in the last month, they are by far the best team in the NHL. Yeah. They have outperformed everybody hands down. Mm-hmm. This was performing without Evgeny Malkin, without Ole Mata, okay, yeah, and with Marc-Andre Fleury getting hurt and Murray. So now Murray's hurt. We don't know what his status will be for tomorrow night. Marc-Andre Fleury went back to practice yesterday. Is he completely recovered from his concussion? Now, I know if you were to ask him, he's going to tell you, yes, I'm ready to go. But is he really ready to go? Do you know any professional athlete that will ever tell you, no, I'm not ready to go?
Big Ben.
No. Well, maybe Antonio Brown against the Broncos
Big
this
Ben
year.
said he did
but
that.
he had an injury. So, even though Marc-Andre Fleury may want to play,
right,
is that what's going to be in the best interest of the team? And then how do you take Evgeny Malkin and Ole Mata, who have been watching from the sidelines, and everybody that gelled together and was performing so well, now you're going to take pieces out of that puzzle and replace them with people that haven't been playing? Are we going to have the chemistry that we had for the last month? These are questions that need to be answered, because in the playoffs, there is no second chance. You've got best of 7. You got to win 4 out of 7. And, the Penguins have to come out strong and win tomorrow night. It would not bode the Penguins well to go down 1-0 to the Rangers in the first game of the series.
Well, I'm thinking that the speed is going to help, because that's a variable that it's hard to beat that. So they can get up and down there pretty quickly. And they also forecheck, which Smokin' Jim learned a couple weeks ago about forechecking. So that's a key thing. So they'll still have that. Now, Malkin likes to go east to west, so that could be a distraction for the players that have been going north to south.
And
and that's a tough thing, but he has the skills to catch up, and he has the speed to do that as long as he's healthy.
You know, and I mean, as odd as it may seem, it seems that Sidney Crosby plays better when Malkin's not there. It also seems that Malkin plays better when Sid's not there. You know, I think these two, you know, when they were younger, they complemented each other very, very well, but they were young and upcoming players with experienced veterans, you know, you know, and they knew their roles. Now the roles are reversed, and they're the experienced veterans, and I just. You know, do you want to make the changes now when they have been doing so well with the players
money
that they had?
with the money you're paying? You got to put him in.
Yeah,
I got confidence in Sullivan.
How'd you know his name? Did you Google it?
Yeah, well, you know,
That's one good thing.
You know,
Smoking Jim's on fire, folks.
you know,
a new Smoking Jim.
Here's another question I
Go
want to
ahead.
ask. You know, a lot of people have said that the way Sid Crosby has performed since Mike Sullivan became the head coach, that they said that maybe they feel that Sid Crosby has re-entered the conversation for league MVP.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I tend to have to disagree with that because somebody that stunk as bad as he did early in the season and played, well, let's call a spade. He tanked it to get the coach fired, and once the coach got fired, then he started playing as a world-class athlete again. How could that person be considered league MVP when there's been people that have been doing it from game 1 to game 82?
Well, when you watch hockey now and you hear the national media in the NHL talking about that, that's how. Because they were saying he was done. They were actually talking maybe even worse than you about Sid Crosby, because I watched some of those games and listened to the commentary, and little did they know he needed a new coach. He learned from the best.
No, he learned from the best. Mario, when Mario didn't like the coach went away.
Exactly. So
Started to sound like me, Chip.
You know?
those are facts, though, Smoking Jim.
Yeah,
They were proven.
But you know, it'll be an interesting series to see them play. I got a game Saturday afternoon at 3. Tomorrow night, you know, they'll be dropping the puck against the Rangers, and the Penguins really, you know, in my mind's eye, for them to really have a chance to beat the Rangers, they got to go up 2-0 in this series. They got to win them both at home, and since they've moved into the console, that has not been a place that's friendly for them in the playoffs. They don't have very many big wins there. And
Well, they didn't score many goals the last couple years, so that makes a difference. Now that they're scoring many more goals than when Malkin was playing with them, I'm still confident that they'll have some scoring, which that'll be the key to
But,
this.
you know, the question remains, who's going to be in the nets tomorrow night? You know,
Fleury.
if it isn't Murray and it isn't Fleury, do you know who is Zatkov going to be the guy?
Zakhov's the guy.
They brought up another guy from the AHL,
I saw that.
and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, they have to have insurance on this, so that's why they got to protect themselves the best they can. I think Fleury passes the protocol. He's working on it now, so he's studying hard on the tests like Smoking Jim would. You make sure you want to play and get in the game, and he's practicing.
So
That's a key thing.
I want to go throw one over to my Steelers insider here.
Whoa.
And you know, I understand the Steelers have been interviewing a lot of defensive prospects in preparation for the draft coming up in a few weeks. What are your thoughts about that?
Brought in all defensive players so far, so I'm proud of them on that.
Tell what Rooney II said they're going to draft. Because he's like Jerry Jones.
He says
Is he going to draft Johnny Football?
No.
cornerback, and you know, a lot of people think the Steelers are a player or two away from the Super Bowl. I don't. I think that they or just need to stay healthy to win a Super Bowl. What I would do personally, and they would never do this, best player in the draft will have to get a red shirt. Linebacker from Notre Dame that got injured.
Really?
And I would draft him in the first round. I would redshirt him, and I put him in there with Shazier in a year and move Timmons out. But I will say this, since you threw it over to me, I'll throw it back to you guys. Do you think that Golden State's the greatest team of all time in team sports. Not just, but they're clearly the best basketball
you know
team
what?
of all time.
I'll be happy to
Clearly.
I'd be happy to chime in on that. Here's one of the things that I wanted to touch on. You know, being the draft guru that you are, I saw a mock draft the other day, and at 25, it had the Steelers taking a defensive lineman.
That's what I predicted.
You know, and I,
Yes.
and it just, that's something that made me scratch my head, because I think, everybody's in agreement that, we need to go secondary. But
Except for me, Chip. I've been against that. I said
no,
the
I
defensive
know
line.
they've signed some defensive linemen, that are supposed to be, for depth. But is anybody they signed? I mean, I thought they were like Cam Thomas clones.
Right. I mean, if you already got two pretty good defensive ends, and you got a potentially good nose guard.
I think that's what they were looking at. The guy in the first pick in the draft, pegging a nose tackle.
And now they're going to you have to pick a cornerback in the first round.
I agree with you, and I respect your opinion on that.
But don't be surprised if they do. 'Cause
Like I predicted,
Like you predicted.
defensive line.
Yeah.
I
Now,
disagree
before
with
I
both
answer
of
your
you.
question about the Golden State Warriors, okay? The one thing that I did hear today, and I did hear that the Steelers will extend Antonio Brown.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, they will.
Wow.
That's what the reports. They didn't want to do it last year because he was only in his third year of a 5-year, $43 million contract. Usually, with the 2 years left, it could better serve the team, because actually it's 3 years, because you got the 2 years he's under
And
contract for, and then the franchise tag year that you could do him. But if they were to extend him now, they could set up his salaries to be cap friendly. Still he gets his money, and is there a better receiver in the NFL right now? I'd like somebody to tell me who that is.
Well, that makes sense, because he just bought a $7 million house, and I can't answer that question. Up until Cincinnati, I would say Antonio Brown was the best receiver in all of football. I haven't seen him play since he got knocked out.
Right? No, we'll see. Have you been watching the Monday nights?
No. How's he looking? I heard he's looking good.
Well, my wife has been filling me in, and she
I heard
said
the
he
girl
looks
was
really
hot
good.
that he's dancing with, super hot.
And the change subjects here.
No, but
As
to
far
get
as
back
your
to-
Golden State,
Get back to Jim's question about Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors won the NBA championship last year. Okay, they were the champions in 2015 without any question. This year they have been on a run. They are 72-9 right now. They are one win away from setting the all-time regular season record.
A record that'll never be broken.
Now, to answer Jim's question, are they the greatest team in the NBA history? The final chapter of that book is going to be written in the playoffs, and if they win the championship, they will be in that conversation. I do find it hard to match teams from different eras against one another, because the games change over time. Sure, the rim's 10 feet, the ball's the same size, and the three-point line maybe a little bit further out. Golden State lights out right now. I think they're the best team in the NBA, but the best team doesn't always win the championship.
the luckiest team does all the time. And I have to hold any type of comparisons because it's ridiculous right now. Absolutely ridiculous. They could be a one-hit or two-hit wonder. Win 3 or 4, and then you're a dynasty. Do that again consistently. They're ranked up after they win 2.
They win the championship this year. They're in the conversation.
They win 2, they'll make the conversation. You're just a little advanced for yourself right now, so I understand that.
One quick question to you, Al.
Yeah.
Do you think 73-9 will ever be broken? I don't think it will.
Did you
I don't
think
know.
72-10 would? Did you think 72-10 would?
Yeah, I did.
Well, folks, hope you found it fascinating with Smoking Jim Frazier, Chip the Prophet Hayner, and Al Levine. Please stay very strong.